Hi, this is a small video tutorial for the D programming language. I'll be showing off some of the ecosystem and some of the tools required to build D programs. This is not a programming tutorial, so I won't be showing a whole lot of code, but I will be creating some simple hello world programs, both console and web. So the first step would be to contact from dlang.org, which is the main web page, and download the compiler. 3 compilers for D, DMD, GDC and LDC for the Digital Mars backend, GCC backend and LLVM backend. So we'll be using DMD. That is the most up-to-date compiler, and it's also the compiler that is fastest at compiling. If you use an operating system with a package manager, you might already have these available, or you might just download from the web page. So the next step would be to get some IDE for the D language. So if you visit the wiki, you should see links to IDEs, and both MonoD and VisualD are good plugins. So MonoD is for MonoDevelop or Xamarin Studio as it's called, and VisualD is for Visual Studio. So if you are using text editor instead, you can find these here, and you have the DCD, which I'll be using for Vim. Next off, if you have compiling examples or getting started with the language, you have the forums tab, which is a newsgroup interface. So you can get these from a newsgroup reader too, but I usually just use the web interface. So you have the Learn forum, and questions are usually answered pretty quickly. You also have the language reference, and you have the library reference, which is the Phobos and the runtime reference. Next off, you have the GitHub account, where most development is happening, and GitHub is also used by many projects using D. So let's start off by showing some very simple hello world stuff. So we start off by importing our input-output library, and we'll write hello world. So you see this is basically C syntax, and we can compile it using DMD and we get a binary. So this is pretty basic stuff. DMD also supports not having the extension, so this is the same. And while this is pretty basic stuff, DMD also supports using the shebang, so you can specify that DMD should be run when you run this file, so we can make it executable and run it directly. One thing though is that you'll see that DMD will compile the program each time. So you see it takes the same amount of time And that's why you have a tool called rdmd that will both track dependencies and keep the binary so you don't recompile every time. So the first time it compiles, the rest it just runs the same binary again. So some dependency tracking. So we can use this and we can see that it's fast. So this shebang makes D suitable for writing short scripts. But one problem with using DMD is the fact that it doesn't handle dependencies automatically. So if we would rather create a new model and like this, we'll try to compile it, and we'll get an error saying that it cannot find the scream method that we defined. So for DMD we would have to specify every dependency. RDMD doesn't do this, so RDMD is quicker to use. But RDMD is also quite basic and suitable for small projects and scripts. But we'll now use a build tool and package management tool called dub. So let's remove our project files here. And if we go to code.dlang.org, we see that there are many packages available for downloading directly, and these packages are managed by dub. So you can find the download link up here, but also this might be your operating system package manager. So creating a project is as simple as running dub.init, dub.init. And we'll see that it creates a file called package.json and a directory source. So the package file is information about your project and dependencies, and also a lot about build configurations and sub-projects and the like. So you have the package format available here. And it's not an official tool, but it will probably become the official package manager in a short amount of time. And we see that it's the same code as we had before. But this time we run dub run, and you'll see that it does the same thing as RDMD does. It will cache the output file and not build the program again if it's up to date. Just running dub will also give you dub run automatically. But dub itself also has plenty of options to build just parts of the project and upgrade dependencies and stuff like that. So we'll now see how we can create a simple web page rather than just a console hello world. So let's remove all the files here. the dub init, you can create a vibe.d application. And vibe is an asynchronous framework, and it's also an HTTP framework, so you can create web pages with this framework. So this web page here is also created using vibe. And you see we have a couple of extra directories, views and public. These are empty, and we have our source directory and we have our package file. In the package file you see here we are targeting a dependency, so dub will now automatically download vibe when it needs to. So let's look at the default application file here. You see that it's no longer using void main as a starting point. It has a shared static this constructor, and this is a module constructor that is run once for the entire application, not once per thread as it's shared. And this is because vibe is using its own main method, and it has an event loop in the main method. So this is a way to not having to launch your own event loop. You see that it will create some settings, setting up an HTTP server, and it will listen to requests, and every incoming request will be routed to hello. And you see in the hello method we'll just write hello world. I'll create a little make file so I can use my shortcuts to run the application. And it takes a bit too time to compile, but this is because every page you create in vibe will be compiled down rather than served dynamically, so it will be very fast. Okay, let's see the result here, and you see a simple hello world. But let's try to write some HTML here. And you see that it's just served as plain text. So we'll need to state to vibe that we are about to serve this as HTML. In doing so, we should get the HTML output. Of course, using this write body everywhere will be quite tedious to write your web pages like this. So vibe includes diet templates, that is templates based on Jade, and we'll create a simple template now to show how we can use this using a markup language. And rather than write body, we'll now say render, and we'll render the hello diet template. So you see it's compiling the file, and we get the same output. So this allows us to better structure our application and write very simple markup. And this is stating that it's using the HTML5 syntax. Every block here, every tag here will become an element, and this it's pretty simple. It won't understand too much HTML, so this hello will become a tag too. So looking at the output now, you'll see the tag hello. So we won't go into details about the template here, but it's documented in the Vibe website. You have a diet reference here. And you can also use the Jade documentation as it's based off. So this is how you write down the templates. Let's create another page. One problem here is that every request is routed to hello. So what we type here, it will go to the same page if we have it running, of course. So let's create another page and route them to different locations. So we'll create a new page, a goodbye page. And we have our page now, but we still need to route the request to the correct place. So we need to set up some routing. And here we can state that on get requests, then get requests against slash will go to the index page, and we'll say that that is the hello page. And then we'll say that buy should go to the buy page, goodbye page. And then we need to say that we should use the router rather than routing every request to hello. So now we get an error, not found, but the index page gives us the hello, and the buy gives us the goodbye page. But one problem we see here is some duplication. So we have both the hello and goodbye page is using the same setup here. So we can create a common file for these. So we can create a template for these two pages. And we do this by specifying a block. So we can say this is the common stuff, and then we'll let child pages specify their own content here. And now we'll extend this, and we'll say that we'll be injecting this code. And we'll do the same for the buy page. Extends layout, block content, and goodbye. So we're compiling the application again, and we see the same as before. One thing here is that these are pretty simple. We are not running any code here. We are only rendering pages. So there is a shorthand syntax for this in vibe, and that is the static template. So we can use that instead. So it's a bit shorter. Okay, same results. And one thing about vibe is that you can use a regular D code inside the pages. So we can say the time is and this will call the correct methods at runtime. We see the time. Also, let's look at the layout again. We can, as this is used for both pages, we can create some common code. So let's say how long it took for the page to be rendered. So we'll create a stopwatch in D. So you see this syntax here states that this is regular D code. And then we'll render this. Let's see, render time. And you see we get the render time at the bottom. Of course, seconds to render at this time will always yield 0 because it is very fast to just run this code. And remember that all the HTML parts here is generated at compile time, so it's just a string buffer that's printed out. So but let's look at another example using code. Let's create a list. So and you see this syntax here, equals will it's the same as running it with all the code here, so you can get some shorter code. And you see we have our list created. So I guess that is enough for now. A very simple web application using Vibe and some of the tools that's allowing you to use D as a scripting language, and that should get you going for some time at least. Okay, goodbye.